You know that moment when you're so close to achieving something amazing, and then suddenly you find yourself doing everything possible to destroy it. You're not broken, you're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. Today we're diving deep into the twisted psychology of self-sabotage, and more importantly, how to break free from this destructive cycle once and for all. Self-sabotage is like having an invisible enemy living inside your own mind. It's that voice that convinces you to procrastinate on the project that could change your career. It's the impulse that makes you pick fights with people you love, right when things are going well. It's the reason you suddenly develop analysis paralysis when opportunities present themselves. But here's what's fascinating about self-sabotage. Your brain isn't trying to hurt you. In fact, it's trying to protect you using outdated survival mechanisms that made sense when you were younger, but now sabotage your adult success. Understanding this distinction changes everything, because it means you can rewire these patterns. Let's start with the most common trigger for self-sabotage, which is success anxiety. This might sound counterintuitive, but many people are genuinely terrified of succeeding. Why? Because success brings visibility, and visibility brings vulnerability. When you're invisible, you're safe from criticism, judgment, and the possibility of letting people down. Think about it this way: if you never try, you will never fail. If you never put yourself out there completely, you never risk complete rejection. Your brain calculates that staying small and playing it safe is better than risking the pain of public failure or the pressure that comes with higher expectations. But there's another layer to this. Success often means outgrowing your current environment and the people in it. Maybe you grew up in a family where ambition was viewed with suspicion, or where people who tried to better themselves were seen as thinking they're better than everyone else. Your subconscious mind might be sabotaging your success to maintain belonging and avoid the loneliness that can come with growth. The second major driver of self-sabotage is what psychologists call imposter syndrome amplification. This goes beyond normal imposter syndrome. This is when your brain becomes convinced that any success you've achieved is pure luck, and that eventually everyone will discover you're a fraud. So rather than wait for this inevitable exposure, your brain decides to pull the plug first. You see this pattern everywhere: the talented artist who destroys their work before anyone can see it, the entrepreneur who finds reasons to delay launching their product, the student who parties instead of studying for the exam they've been preparing for all semester. They're all responding to the same fear that success will expose their inadequacy. Here's where it gets really interesting though. Self-sabotage often masquerades as perfectionism. You tell yourself you're not ready yet. You need more training, more preparation, and more time. But perfectionism in this context isn't about creating something amazing. It's about creating an excuse to never be vulnerable enough to find out what you're truly capable of. The third pattern is what I call comfort zone gravity. Your brain has invested tremendous energy in building your current identity, and it will fight to maintain that identity even when it's limiting you. If you see yourself as someone who struggles financially, your brain will find ways to return you to financial struggle, even when opportunities for wealth present themselves. This isn't conscious. You're not sitting there plotting against yourself, but your subconscious mind notices when your external reality starts to contradict your internal identity, and it course corrects by sabotaging the new reality to match the old identity. So how do you break free from these patterns? The first step is developing what I call sabotage awareness. You need to become intimately familiar with your personal sabotage patterns. Do you procrastinate when things get important? Do you pick fights when relationships get too good? Do you get sick before big opportunities? Do you suddenly discover urgent distractions when you should be focused on your goals? Start tracking these patterns like a detective. Notice the timing. Notice the triggers. Notice the emotions that precede your sabotage behaviors. Most people live their entire lives unconscious of these patterns, which means they never break free from them. The second strategy is reframing your relationship with discomfort. Self-sabotage often occurs because growth requires us to tolerate uncomfortable emotions like uncertainty, vulnerability, and the fear of failure. But what if instead of avoiding these emotions, you learn to interpret them differently? When you feel that familiar anxiety before a big opportunity, instead of seeing it as a warning sign that you should back away, try seeing it as evidence that you're on the right track. Discomfort often indicates growth. Your comfort zone is expanding and your brain is simply alerting you to this change. Practice sitting with uncomfortable emotions without immediately acting to make them go away. This builds what psychologists call distress tolerance, and it's one of the most powerful skills you can develop for overcoming self-sabotage. The third approach involves identity work. You need to consciously evolve your self-concept to match the life you want to create. If you want to be successful, you need to start identifying as someone who deserves success, someone who can handle success, and someone who belongs in successful environments. This isn't about fake it till you make it. This is about recognizing that your current identity was largely formed by past experiences and circumstances that may no longer serve you. You have the power to consciously choose who you want to become, and then align your behaviors with that chosen identity. Start by writing out the characteristics of the person who would naturally achieve your goals. What do they think? How do they respond to challenges? How do they handle success? Then practice embodying those characteristics in small ways every day. The fourth strategy is building what I call success scaffolding. Instead of waiting until you feel ready or worthy, start creating external structures that support your growth regardless of how you feel internally. This might mean hiring a coach, joining a mastermind, or simply telling people about your goals so you have external accountability. Your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower ever will. If you can create an environment that makes success more likely than self-sabotage, you'll naturally gravitate toward better choices, even when your internal programming hasn't fully updated yet. Finally, you need to understand that overcoming self-sabotage isn't about eliminating fear or uncertainty. It's about developing the courage to act in spite of those feelings. The goal isn't to feel confident all the time. The goal is to build the skill of taking aligned action even when you don't feel confident. Remember that every time you choose growth over comfort, you're literally rewiring your brain. Every time you push through the urge to sabotage, you're weakening those neural pathways and strengthening new ones. This process takes time and patience, but it absolutely works. The most successful people aren't those who never experience self-sabotage. They're the ones who recognize it quickly and have developed systems for moving forward anyway. Your sabotage patterns developed over years or even decades. Give yourself permission to heal and grow at a sustainable pace. Start small. Pick one area where you notice self-sabotage and commit to showing up differently just in that area. Build momentum there before expanding to other areas of your life. Remember that lasting change happens through consistent small actions, not dramatic overnight transformations. You have everything within you right now to break free from self-sabotage and create the life you truly want. Your brain's attempts to protect you through limitations aren't permanent. They're just outdated software that can be updated. The question isn't whether you can overcome self-sabotage. The question is whether you're ready to start.